What is going on, guys? I hope you're all having a great day. Today we're going to be going over injector installs on the 2001 24 valve Cummins. These things are super easy to do yourself, especially with the inline sixes we have on the 24 valve Cummins. So we're pretty spoiled when it comes to that and when it comes to ease of install. So today I'm going to go through beginning to end install. Now I already have my rocker arms off, my valve cover, intake, manifold, things like that, but I will be talking to you about how I did that. Now the reason I have that off, if you guys are new to the channel or maybe you didn't check out my ARP install video, I installed that a couple of days ago, so I already have a couple things off, but I will be explaining how to get those things off. It just wouldn't make sense to me to go ahead and put those things right back on, just take them off. They're really easy and I'll go over with all that. First we're going to go over the tools you're going to need to do this install. It's nothing too crazy, you're not going to need anything crazy to do this install. It's just basic tools you probably already have. So first thing we need is a 3/4 wrench. This equates to a 19 millimeter if you don't have a 3/4, and that's just to pop the injector lines off. You're also going to need a 3/8 ratchet and a 8 millimeter as well as a 10 millimeter. The 10 millimeter is for the valve cover, the intake manifold, taking those bolts off, as well as the oil dipstick. All that's 10 millimeters down to get to the injectors themselves, as well as the rocker arms. Everything's 10 millimeters, super easy. 3/8 ratchet will get it off really easily. You're also going to need a torque wrench. Torque wrench is for getting those rocker arms back on to 27 foot-pounds when you're done, and that's pretty much at the end of the install when you're going to need the torque wrench. The 8 millimeter is going to be for the right above the injectors. There's a bridge, if you will. We'll get to that here in a minute, but you're also going to need an 8 millimeter to take that off. You can just take one off because the other end's slotted, so you just need to take one of those things off, and then that'll get you down into the injector, and then we'll go from there. That's the basic overlay of the tools you're going to need. If there's things I'm missing, then we'll get to that in the other side of the video when we go into that. But thing I definitely suggest is going to get you a torque tool injector puller. This is part number CIP040. Now what this is going to do is prevent you from having to replace your injector tubes if yours are in good shape, which I'm guessing these are in mine because I only have 167,000 on the truck right now, so the injector tube should be fine. The truck was never dogged or anything, it was just completely bone stock until a couple months ago, so they should be fine. And that's why I got this injector tube puller and injector puller from Torque Tools. This saved me a little bit of money so I didn't have to go get new injector tubes. Now if you're in that 300,000 range, maybe you need to go ahead and get new injector tubes. I don't know, check them out. I'm going to check mine out. I personally don't even know, I never took them out, but I'm just guessing that they're in pretty good shape. So I'm going to take them out. More than likely they're going to be fine. I'm going to be able to reuse them and then put them back in, but I definitely suggest this. Some people use a flat head that can mess up the threads on your injector tube puller. If you're easy with it, if you've done it before, fine. I'm not saying you can't do that, but all I'm saying is this will be fine. Also, it comes with a screw to take the actual injector out itself. If you don't have the actual screw like in the Torque Tool kit, then you can use one of your intake screws. We'll get to all that. I just want to pretty much lay out what you're going to need to get the job done first and structure this video to what you need, how to do it, and then the end of the video. I don't know if I'm going to actually start the truck up, so I don't want to keep you guys waiting if you want to see the truck actually running with these injectors. This is more going to be an install video. It's strictly install video from beginning to end, so I don't want to bore you and then at the end, you know, it comes down to it, you think I'm going to start the truck and everything. That's not what the video is for. It's an install video and really just showing you guys what you need, how to do it, and to help you out. So there will be a startup video to this probably in the next couple of days just to see how it runs, and maybe even before I get that VP44 in. I don't know, we might start it before I get the new VP44 in just to see how it runs, but I might not, I don't know. We'll get to that, but today so we have the Torque Tools, torque wrench, our actual injector. So let's talk about our actual injector. So it's from Diesel Auto Power. I already told you it is a 7 by 0.009 SAC type injector, 2.08, and it's of course for the 24 valve, which it says right here on the top. And there's not really much to say about it. Always make sure you got your copper ring on there. Make sure you don't have make sure when you take the old injector out, make sure you always have that copper ring on there. You're going to use a little bit of oil to oil this O-ring right here, and then it comes with some other O-rings. These are for your injector tubes. You're always going to want to replace this. Diesel Auto Power sends you a brand new set free of charge. So when you take the old injector tubes out, just use a flathead or something. Be real easy with it. Pop the old O-rings off of the injector tubes and put these new ones on. So that's all that. It's pretty much overlay of everything you're going to need, and we'll jump right into the install. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and show you from beginning to end how to install these things. Alright, so first things first, how did we get to the point that we are right now? Now, as you can see, my intake manifold is off. I disconnected it from the tube, and I took my valve cover off as well as my gasket. Very important. Take the gasket off just to make sure you don't chip it while you're working on anything, especially when you're right here along the edge with the injector lines. You don't want to miss your wrench and accidentally slip, and then you got to replace that gasket. So I took the gasket off, and where is my valve cover at? Oh yeah, I got my valve cover in my garage over there. But to take this off, we're going to go from our intake manifold first. You're going to have 4 bolts. Actually 5 if you include the oil one, which you probably want to take off first to relieve the stress. It's 10 millimeter. Then you're going to have a bolt right here, 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 and here. Stuff a rag down in there just to make sure you don't get any debris stuck inside your engine. The bolts placed on the actual manifold are there, 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 and there. That's for your oil dipstick. Then once you have that off, just turn it. Once you loosen this bolt right here, which I believe is a 10 millimeter as well, you're going to need a deep socket for that. If you're still using the stock clamps, and just turn it right under this oil dipstick too. Just be real easy and get that out of the way so you can have some workspace. Next thing, gonna pop that valve cover off. Super easy. 5 bolts right down the center, 10 millimeter in size, and just lift up on it. The way I did it, be a little easier for you, is to turn it towards those, put it right on top of those tubes right there, and then lift up in the back and kind of slide it on out right under the firewall right there. So that isn't too hard. It's not going to take you too long to do that. I just wanted to go over that because, you know, some of us don't know how to get to this point right here. So again, all we did, take intake manifold off, didn't touch our throttle position sensor, don't really need to touch this, and then we took our valve cover off. So that's where we are right now. And then, of course, we took our rocker arms off. Now, when you take your rocker arms off to do this, very important that you are going to put these in a row very neatly as they appear on your engine. So mine are in the bed of the truck right now, covered up, my rocker arms. And whenever you do this, just set them up exactly how they appear in the engine, because you're going to want to put them exactly in the same exact spot. The reason being is because this engine is ran for a long time. You don't want to throw off any sort of timing or make the engine mad, pretty much, in layman terms. So whenever you take the rocker arms off, it's 10 millimeter. There's going to be 2 bolts on each one of them. Just undo those bolts real quick with your 3/8 ratchet, and then lift them straight up and out. And then put them, like I said, in a neat line. Now you're going to be at this point. So that's how you get to this point. And next step we're going to jump into is taking off these injector lines. Now these injector lines, like I said, is going to be a 3/4 wrench. You're just going to pop these things off all the way to the back. And like I said a minute ago, with your 10 millimeter, you're going to pop off the mounting brackets, which is going to be, well, I guess I do have to take this startup position sensor off, because I have a mounting bracket right under that. I didn't see that it was snuck under there. So yeah, you are going to have to take the startup positions off. Do it all the time. It's fine. I'll just put this out of the way, probably over there on top of the fuse box or something, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, so you got a mounting bracket right here under there. Important note, never disconnect anything that's blue, because that's just going to be more work for you in the end. Just disconnect one right here. You're going to have one right there, and you're going to have one right there in the back. And there's another one. You might have to disconnect. Maybe that'll be it for now. We'll go from there. So we're going to disconnect one right here, one right there, the one back there, and you might even have to disconnect this one. I'll let you guys know here in a second when I get down into it. First, I'm going to take the startup position sensor off, because I did not actually know I had to do that, but as you can see, it's snuck under there. So I'm going to take this off real quick, and then we're going to go from there. Alright, so just real quick, to take the throttle position sensor off, you're just going to undo the 3 bolts you just seen right here. They're 14 millimeter in size. Then once you lift that up, you're going to have your actual sensor connector right here. You're just going to unplug that. Some people have the Embos connector. I just have the stock one from factory. So just unconnect that right at the head of it. You don't need a flathead or anything. You just stick your thumb down there and it'll disconnect pretty easily. And then put that off to the sides. That'll get you some more workspace. Alright, so now that we got our fuel lines off, and those are the rockers that I was telling you guys about, I got those all nice and neat in a row. You don't have to take the rocker arms off, but I already had them off and it gives me more room, so I decided to go ahead and leave them off. Also, after you get the lines off, and I remember how I told you guys that there's probably one more bolt. The other bolt was right back there where that hole is. That was the other bolt that I told you guys about. So in all there is, I believe, 5 bolts, because you're gonna have to do another one right here that connects to the wire. It's a wiring harness that connects to a bolt, and then there's also a little pry clip that you have to just pick up and out going to the throttle position sensor. So to get to this point right here, I know I haven't recorded since I took the fuel lines off, but all you guys got to do is pop these things out. There's 6 of them all the way back, of course. It's a 18mm or 3/4, like I said, and those things should turn pretty easily. Now me, I took my mounting bracket, or not mounting bracket off, but engine mount bracket off, and I also unclipped this, which is just 10mm bolts, and that one I believe was a 15mm or 14mm back there, and that's just to give me more room so I can work. You guys don't have to do that by any means. I just did it because it gave me more room, and it's really easy to just take off and put back on. So I went ahead and did the 1st and 2nd and 6th injector, and I'll show you right here. Just put these off. Again, you want to lay these out and put those in the exact same order. So this is my 6th one, my 1st and 2nd one. I'm going to explain to you guys real quick how exactly to do this, and I'm going to also record an entire one, record me actually doing an entire one so you guys can see the entire process, because it's different from me talking about it than actually showing you. So I'm going to do a quick overview and every step by step, and then you'll actually see me do it. So once you get these lines off, the fuel lines off, so how to do the first one is these torque tools are really good. So I'm going to lay these things out and show you exactly what they do and how they work. And then you see, like I said, you'll see me here in a second actually use them to do the entire injector. So this end just threads in. It takes out the fuel tube, and you just kind of thread it on in, a few threads, and then you just grab it and pull right out. Then that'll take your fuel tube off. Then after you take the fuel tube off, you're going to take this injector out. So if you don't have a torque tool, you can also use an intake bolt that you get from unscrewing these. Use it either the long or the short one. But if you do have a torque tool, it definitely works a lot better. You just screw this thing down a couple turns, and then once you have it down a couple turns, you just pick up on this piece or use like some sort of hammer or pry bar, and you could just pry this thing right out. I've just used my hands. It's been so easy, guys. I just pick this thing straight up, injector pops right out. So these are the tools from Torque Tools that we have been using. Like I said, I am going to record one here in a second. We're going to take the 3rd one off from front to end. I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do it, and then we are going to finish up the video with the putting everything back together. So hold on right here for the 3rd one. Alright guys, so once you get your fuel lines off, the next piece you're going to start to do is you're going to take your 8mm, and you're going to just loosen up these with your 3/8 ratchet. You only have to do one, remember, because the other end's slotted. The end towards the intake manifold side or your VP44 side is going to be slotted. So you just take the exhaust manifold side bolt out, and then this just slides out and up. And then, like I said, just like your rocker arms, you want to place these off to the side all in a row and all in the order that they are in the engine bay. So now that I set that aside, now we can see our injector, because our injector is right under that. Then we're going to grab our torque tool, which is, let me see, oh, right here. So torque tool is right here. We'll go to our, because we're working on our 3rd injector, so we're going to screw this on to the injector tube. Only got to turn it a few times, and then some of them have been real easy and some of them a little harder. Alright, pops right out. Alright, so important step, very important step. After you unscrew this, you see this O-ring right here. We are going to replace this O-ring. So DAP gave us some new O-rings, which are right here. And these are for the injector tubes. See, I have 3 left because I've already done 3 of them. This is super easy, guys. It only took me like 10 minutes to do those 3. Where is my flathead? The hardest thing is I keep losing all my dang tools. Oh, I'm sitting on it. Alright, so once you get your flathead, you're going to just sort of take this O-ring out. The O-ring can go either way. So this, I went over the top this time, or it can go that way. It really doesn't matter. Throw that to the side. And then you're going to grab your new O-rings that are supplied. Then you're going to place it right onto the injector tube. Grab you some oil with your finger and spread that nice and even across the O-ring so that it'll seat properly once you push it back in. Alright, so now that we got all this set up, I'll just put this to a side. Make sure it doesn't get any dirt on that tube though. Definitely don't want to put that in anything that's going to get it dirty. Grab our another torque tool. This is actually going to take the injector out. So just locate the injector first off, screw this little thing in. About 4 or 5 turns is good. It'll get a good grip on it. Then just grab you firmly. I already gave a little bit. And then the injector pops right out. So grab you some Vaseline or any sort of lubricant. Well, really not any sort of lubricant, but some sort of Vaseline will do. Or grease. Grease is another one that you probably have laying around the house or in the garage. It's really just to grip that copper O-ring, make sure it doesn't fly off. So now that we have some Vaseline on there, just put that Vaseline or that copper O-ring back on. And this is very important. So with the injector, you're going to see the hole on this side. This needs to be facing towards the injector tube. So when you place this back in here, let me get a better shot right here. When you put this back in there, you see how it's angled towards the bolts for the cover, the injector cover that we just took off that plate. Same thing goes. So just going to place it right in there. You're going to make sure that it's angled just like the front 2 are. Alright, so like I said, just make sure that's really good angled in there. And then the next thing, just like the injector tube, just place some oil on that O-ring. Alright, so once you got oil on the O-ring, you got the Vaseline or grease on the copper O-ring, then you're good to go ahead and place this in. So we got our whole side facing the injector tube. We got it lined up and angled with those bolts, and then we are just going to press down, and then we should hear it pop into place just like that. So now that's popped into place, it's seated properly. We can also use an inspection mirror and see that it's lined up on the other side. So let me grab that. So I don't know if you guys can see, but with my inspection mirror I can tell that it's lined up properly. So now that it's lined up properly, we know we're good to go ahead and put our injector tube in there, and that pops into place just like the injector itself did. So like I said, make sure you got some oil on that O-ring, place it in like so, and then you'll be able to hear this one as well. This one's pretty easy. It doesn't have to have too much pressure on it. There, bam, just a little bit of pressure, pops right in there, makes a nice sound, so you know it's locked into place. So now we have left our 4th and 5th injector that we have to replace. Once I do that, I'm not going to record it all because it's repetitive and it's the exact same steps over and over again. I just don't want to bore you guys. Then I'm going to show you how to put this thing back together and the proper steps and proper ways you should go with it. Alright guys, so the next step in the process is going to grab your injector cover and your 3/8 ratchet torque wrench. Set it to 8 foot-pounds. I think it translates into like 89 inch-pounds or something, but
All I know is it goes to 89 foot-pounds, so you're going to move that slotted end down, and then you're going to line it all up with the injector. Should just line straight up. If it doesn't, you're going to have to wiggle it around a little bit. Alright, push that forward. Then we got it all lined up. We go ahead and finger tighten our bolt down. 8 millimeters again. This is going to be down to 8 foot-pounds. Alright, let's click twice, so we know we're at 8 foot-pounds now, and you just do that for each one of them all the way down to the 6 cylinder, and then after that we'll update you guys here as soon as we get this done. Alright, so I just got done putting all the injector covers back on. I went back through and once they were all on, I went back through and made sure they were all torqued to one click on 8 foot-pounds of torque. So I made sure they are all, I backed them out, even the front one that I just did, and I re-torqued them all just to one click, 8 foot-pounds, so I know they're all exactly the same, which is very important. Next thing we're going to do is go into our rocker arms. I am going to be putting those back on because next upgrade I'm having coming to the Cummins is the VP44, Hot Rod VP44. That install should be out within the next, I would say 4 to 5 days, and maybe even 3 to 4 days. We'll see. Definitely within the next week, that VP44 video will be up. So I'm going to keep the injector lines out, the fuel lines off. Actually, I'm going to keep those off, but you guys know how to put those back on. Just take them off exactly the same way you put them back on. I didn't mention it, but you are going to have to disconnect them from the VP44 as well. And it's the same size down there. And the angles seem kind of hard at first, but once you come in down from below and hit them a little bit, they actually come free spinning really easily, kind of like the injector lines up here by the block. But yeah, the VP44, it'll kind of make you mad at first because you're like, oh, I can't get an angle on it. But once you start taking one off at a time, it gets really easy, and you'll have the room with that 19 mil or that 3/4 wrench. But yeah, I'm gonna keep those off actually, because I am gonna be taking this VP44 out probably tomorrow, getting ready for that Hot Rod VP44 from Industrial Injection. But I am about to put the rocker arms on real quick, so I'm going to do a few of those and then check back in with you. Alright, so now that you got your rocker arms on from front to back, just how they were before. Again, these are 27 foot-pounds, and it's 10 millimeter. I just used a 3/8 torque wrench to get those down snug. Then you're going to be ready to put your valve cover back on. So I'm going to do that really quick and then check back in with you. Alright guys, so just got the valve cover back on. I'm going to stop at this point because, like I said, I'm replacing the VP44 here in a couple days, which will be a video in itself. But just make sure your injector lines are all lined up nice and neat, and just start finger tightening on those threads. Make sure it's all lined up. It's a very important step actually. And then once you feel like they're all lined up and seated properly, the nut should just screw on there all the way down to almost the tip of it, and then you'll have to hit it with the wrench. Again, that's a 19 millimeter or 3/4 wrench. And of course your lines connect down to the VP44 as well. But you guys will get all that. Just make sure you don't bend your lines. It's very important not to bend those lines, because if you do, then you'll never get them back straight. Now to put the valve cover back on, of course, just put the gasket back on the same way, and then put the valve cover back on. These 5 bolts are down to 18 foot-pounds from factory. That's what the owner's manual calls for, so 18 foot-pounds. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a like down below, and there'll be tons of more videos coming out. So if you're new, be sure to subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.